everybody, a warm welcome to another interview on Wisdom from North. I'm Jannike, and today I am so honored and excited to be here with Mada Eliza Dalian. Mada is a modern-day mystic, an internationally acclaimed master of healing and transformation, and she's the founder of the Lightspeed healing method, the Dalian Method. And she's also an internationally acclaimed author and a multi-award-winning author of the 2 books In Search of the Miraculous and Awakening Consciousness with the Dalian Method. Hello, Mada. How are you doing today?
Hello, very good. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to be speaking with you, and I just watched an interview with you online. I think it was the Buddha at the gas pump.
Yes.
I hope I got that right. And now I know you're coming to Norway and to Europe for the first time, doing a workshop, and we're going to speak about that a bit later. You're going to teach how to find your soul's calling, which I love. It's such an important topic. Before we go into that, I would like to speak about the big topic of enlightenment and ego and surrender, because I know that you had quite a mystical experience that is quite rare, and I haven't interviewed that many enlightened people. And I know at age 33 you had an experience of becoming enlightened. So I would like to start there. First, I would like to ask you, what is enlightenment for you? Because sometimes I think we can get lost in terms. So I would like to clarify what is enlightenment for you.
Well, to me, enlightenment is knowing who you're not. So basically, all the identification that we have or our ego has with who we think we are keeps us in that state of not knowing who we truly are. And once you really recognize that you're not your body, you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, and this life is temporary, and you're just on a journey which never ends. The journey is the goal, and basically, to me, that's enlightenment means suddenly you're seeing all these things, and the word enlightenment was coined by the Buddha simply because he had that experience. And I would say similar because I had similar experience to that, where my whole body turned into light. So it was like 1,000 lights suddenly arising out. Suddenly there are just 1,000 lights shining and burn everything on the way, except light stays. There's only light. So, but within that light, there's consciousness. And that's what.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
That's why Buddha called it enlightenment, but it has many shapes and forms because people have different experiences of understanding what I just said earlier, or seeing the truth of who you truly are that is not separate from what is.
So for me, I have a knowing of what you said, like an intellectual knowing, but this is like an actual experience of that truth.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a big difference between intellectual knowing and actual knowing, because to really actually have the experience, you must be prepared to face the fear of death. And you must be willing, so this is where surrender comes in. You must be willing to surrender to that if I die, I die.
You mean the death of the ego or actually death?
Well, the ego, it's always the ego, but then the interpretation, again from the ego, from the mind, is that I am going to die because I'm identified with my body. Right? So when the identification... So the first step is you've still identified that if the body dies, I'm prepared to die because I'm still identified with the body. But then that step must be taken and surrendered into what will be will be. And that's where, the will of, we surrender our will to the will of God, or the will of existence. So that step must be taken, because unless that step is taken, we cannot see that it's the ego that is afraid to die. And again, we need to see it. We need to witness it, not just intellectually think it.
So when you say that your whole body was turned into light, I can't imagine that. What does that mean? I mean, was your body still there? Or if I was there in the room, could I see you being light? Or was it more like an experience that you lit up every part of you? So it was more like a spiritual experience rather than a physical experience, I guess I'm asking.
Well, a spiritual experience is a physical experience. You're not separate from your body. We're still living in our body. So somebody looking might or might not be seeing the light around the body. And this is where, if we look at all these icon paintings in Christian tradition with the light around the head, right? So many people can see it, but many people can't. So it's just a matter of where the person's perceptions are. However, the body is still there because you're still in the body. So this is an experience where you feel suddenly the body disappears and there's only light. And you feel that you move, but there is no movement. You know it's something's moving, your hands are moving, but it's emptiness. It's moving within the emptiness. So again, that's an experience, because looking from outside, of course, somebody would say, of course, you're moving.
Is this experience still with you, or did it kind of dissipate and then you kind of felt like the normal human body moving again?
Every experience dissipates. What stays is the consciousness. So once you become conscious of something, you cannot become unconscious again. So, and then it completely changes your perspective on life. And of course, these kind of experiences, they take time to integrate, because any simple experience takes time to integrate so that it becomes part of your lifestyle.
Is it something you willed to happen? Is it something we can make happen? Or is it something that happens by grace?
You have to let go of your will. It happens by grace, I would say, if you're ready. So for myself, I've worked on this for many, many lifetimes. So it's not like just, I want to become enlightened and I become enlightened. Well, if I worked many lifetimes, means I had that desire. So, and how do we come to that desire? Is by gradually, with life after life, having the experiences of realizing that everything comes to pass, everything has an end, and then we start asking, what's the meaning of life? And I think every person at some point or other asks, what's the meaning of life? For me, it was very early in life, when I was 5 years old, when I witnessed death of my grandfather, where then realizing I'm going to die too, then what's the meaning of life? Then I need to know who I am.
Yeah, so it seemed like it was a soul theme in a sense. It was already there. I mean, it happened so early, so it seemed that it was kind of meant to be that you were going to go on this search in this life, or have this focus.
Well, absolutely, because it's built. One lifetime is not enough to transform what's unconscious into consciousness. So every lifetime we have new experiences. Every experience helps us to become more conscious. And through experiences, we also start understanding actually what is false and what is true.
And would you say that is not an aim, but that's where spirit or God or the universe, whatever we want to call it, wants us to wake up, to move towards, is to become, 100% conscious beings?
That's exactly the inbuilt structure of the universe. because everybody comes with consciousness is inbuilt within everyone. So if you can imagine, everyone has a part of the universal energy within them. So there's this little bubbles of energy. So these bubbles of energy obviously have the source within them because they come from the source. And the source has that blueprint within it that the aim is to transform this energy from being oblivious in unconsciousness to being conscious. In other words, from darkness to light. So darkness is not a bad thing. Darkness simply means we do not see something. It's like you turn the light switch in a dark room, you see the room. Doesn't mean that it's something bad if it's dark. So we have that association with darkness as bad simply because there's fear about darkness because we don't see what's in there.
I totally agree with you on that. And what is in the dark, at least how I see it, is a lot of stuff that is in our unconscious. And that is why I think this work is sometimes very challenging, because we don't even know ourselves, why we behave like we do. And I was thinking the other day that, oh my goodness, I've been working so much on myself, but still, I feel like there's this universe of things in my subconsciousness that I'm not even aware of, that I know I notice it's just there, like acting out. In the default. And I think you probably are going to speak about this in the workshop in Oslo, but how would you say we can go about discovering what is in our subconsciousness, like actually willing to do that, starting the work there?
Well, you do that one step at a time, and that's precisely why I devised this method that I did, to allow people to bypass the mind and go into the unconscious, which is in the body. Your body carries your entire history and the history of the universe. So, and you can only see it layer by layer. There is a saying that the unconsciousness is like a bottomless abyss. And this is true. It's like bottomless abyss. And once you start going deeper into your personal unconscious, then there's the collective unconscious you have to work with.
Right. Which
I wrote in Search of the Miraculous, so people understand the journey, the steps. And then you have to work with the cosmic unconscious if you want to know the universe.
The cosmic unconscious.
So these steps are, you've passed through all those steps. Every single person has passed through those steps. It's just a matter of becoming aware that, this is what it is. So becoming aware of these steps, and most of the time why people don't heal or why people don't progress or why people get stuck in a certain place is because of the fear. It's the fear of survival, fear of death, and they don't know. It's the ego that is afraid to die. And they are afraid to look into things that they think it's painful. Well, of course, certain experiences are painful. Why? Because we're identified with those experiences, but it's only an experience. You never have, nothing touches your core. Nothing touches your being. Everything is experienced within the realm of the ego and identification with the ego and the world. But ultimately, if you can, what is the most important thing for any seeker is to develop their ability to witness. If you can witness everything, then you're able to disidentify from things, and therefore you're able to go deeper into the unconscious. So witnessing is an absolute key, and what helps you to witness? That's why meditation, it's like something that can never disappear from human consciousness. What is meditation? Is to cultivate the ability to witness. So with my method, I incorporated that part into it as well, so that as we go deeper into the unconscious, and things come up from the unconscious, and you go, wow, I had completely forgotten this. Of course, we have to forget so we can live. Otherwise, it's not possible to live in this material reality. So then these things come up, and then the understanding once they're released, then you start understanding, okay, this bad experience happened because I needed to learn something. And now I see what I needed to learn. And the learning is always coming back to see that actually, when you connect to your being, which happens through this method as well, then you suddenly have the distance to see that it's the ego that is behaving this way, or that this is the lesson. Why did I, for example, when people have traumatic experiences, why did I have this experience? And then people go, they go into the victim mode. And then the ego uses the story to get sympathy, to get attention, and people get stuck there. But the thing is, something happens. To each person, something happens. It's not like you're the center of the universe, which the ego thinks you are. Right? So something happens to everybody. Everybody has different experiences, pleasant and unpleasant. So then, why did I have this experience? And that's what the whole aim for me to develop this method from the consciousness that I came was, that to help people come to disidentify. And this is where the element of meditation comes in. And so then, as we go into the unconscious, we do not deny anything. We cannot, because if we deny something, we're already stopped the process. We have to accept everything that we feel without any judgment, without any fear. And the whole society teaches you to be afraid, to be yourself.
To be afraid of being yourself?
That's right. But that's why you can't say what you feel. You have to start thinking, well, is this socially acceptable? Is this right? That people will judge me if I say this. And what kind of life is that? Then it becomes completely artificial.
It kind of is. Like Eisen said, this is all an illusion. And I can feel that. I've always felt that. I want to touch upon the emptiness. I can feel this choir of people now, and I was one of them. I kind of still feel a bit afraid. I feel the ego here, saying that I don't want to feel this emptiness. I want to feel.
Yes.
I love feeling passion, feeling love, laughter, even, tears, being a bit sad because I feel alive. What can you say about that for us who are a bit afraid of this emptiness, this nothingness?
This is, again, another very common thing for the human condition, that everybody is afraid of emptiness. Because when I say everybody is afraid, the mind is afraid of emptiness. Because suddenly in emptiness there is no mind. And there's nothing to do. There's nothing to engage with.
Right. There is no mind. Okay, I can't even imagine that.
Well, let's say you're starting to feel, you're meditating, and you're really watching this busy mind that keeps going, and you're struggling with it, and somebody says, well, you have to quiet your mind. And then you struggle even more to try to quiet your mind. And this is great for the ego. This is great food for the ego. Then the ego says, yeah, great, now we're going to stay alive because somebody says, quiet the mind, so now I have to do this, I have to do this. So in the doing is how the ego stays alive. And the moment suddenly, if there is no doing, and you're suddenly in the space of emptiness, then you freak out because, oh my God, I can't stay here, I can't stay here. Why? Because in that emptiness there is joy. If you stay there more, there is this tremendous joy, because that was my experience with this light. In the light, the universe, the whole universe is full of joy, because the universe continues to create. In every little creativity, if you create something, you feel the joy. Now, in that emptiness, suddenly you get in touch with the joy of the universe.
So it's not empty then, it is joy.
It is absolutely full if you can stay with it. So it feels empty, but in that emptiness, it's like you're in a room, there's walls, right? And we have lots of rooms and buildings where people live in, but if you take the walls away, it's empty. So the same emptiness exists, it's just empty. And that emptiness is filled with trees, water, ocean, rocks, people, animals. They're all representations of physical manifestations, but ultimately within the core, it's all emptiness. Mm-hmm. The body goes, you're still alive. That emptiness, which you cannot touch, goes with you.
So interesting. I just got some insights now, like that the universe is, you said the universe is creating from joy, and every time we create, we get joy or feel joy. And I just noticed that today. I was like writing a script, and all of a sudden I got like this new notion of a direction I was going in, and I felt so much joy. And I was like thinking about it afterwards, like it wasn't this huge thing that I created, but it was kind of something new. And I felt so joyful. And then I wanted to ask you now.
And it came from nowhere, right?
Yeah, it felt like it. Yeah.
So it came from the emptiness.
Full circle. I love it. I love it. And my next question on that is, are there any new thoughts? You were saying that the universe is creating all the time. Is that because new things are created all the time? Or is it recycling in a way?
My sense is there's new things that get created, but things get recycled as well. So this is part of the evolution. The new things that come to be is part of the evolution. And even if you take your own life, if you look back at your life, the growing step by step, you've evolved based on certain things that have happened in your life, and these are things that happen to every single person. But evolution happens, and if we take Upanishads, even the way they describe it is, let's say you take a newborn baby, and then there's phases of life, right? So we go through those phases of life, and through the phases of life, our consciousness begins to change and grow. What you were thinking as a teenager, it's gone. You learned so much since then. So evolution continues to happen, but within that evolution, the thing that you experience, your parents have experienced as well, your grandparents have experienced as well. So it's there as a constant, but each person experiences them in their new own way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I just loved that you elaborated so much on it. I love this. I feel like I can ask you so many questions here. It's really profound. Wow. On the lines of your soul's calling and what we're here to do, in a sense, wakening up to consciousness, would you say that, I mean, we're part of the whole. That's at least what I think and believe. But would you say that we have some sort of individual souls? Like you're talking about this individual ego, that is the individuation, and then you lost that in a sense that you, or from what I understood, when you became enlightened, that you kind of felt no ego anymore. But do you still have a soul that is kind of individual? I guess I'm asking.
Let's go back to the bubbles I was describing before. Okay, so those bubbles come from the universe. And each bubble has its own journey and its own experiences and different, whatever they accumulate and whatever skills they learn throughout many lifetimes. So the core of me and you is no different. It's the same core as the universe. Okay, so your experiences, the way you learn to transform into full consciousness is based on your experiences. My journey is based on my experiences, but ultimately there's no division, there's no separation. We're just bubbles of the same big energy field. Okay, so yes, not everybody needs a certain experience. Let's say somebody needs a traumatic experience and somebody doesn't, based on their journey. So yes, in that sense, you pass through that individual process. So your individuality, absolutely, you have to come to your individuality, so that from that point, what I call that's the transformation from a wounded ego into a healthy ego. When you're in the healthy ego, you're more an individual. Now, that is a step. It's not the final step, but you have to be an individual before the individual can say, I'm prepared to die, and I'm prepared to let go, and I'm letting go of all these things that I've been holding on to. Only individual can do that.
Okay.
And existence cannot force you. Existence waits till you're ready.
And those bubbles, so let's say you are your bubble and I'm my bubble, and as my bubble, I've had a lot of lives, past lives.
Yes.
And future lives, probably. So that's like,
well,
yeah.
The journey is the goal. So one thing is very, very important to understand, that many people think, oh, I become enlightened and it's the end of the story. Well, that's not the end. That's just the beginning. Then that's the understanding of the journey is the goal. That means even, and I remember Osho saying this, even enlightenment has to be let go of. There's a thing beyond enlightenment where even that is identification.
Oh, wow. It's a bit advanced for me, I feel.
So for me, it's like enlightened, not a big deal. It's like, okay, I'm just living my life.
Right.
To me, that is like, okay, I don't care. It's not a big deal for me. And even after I had the experience, it was like, okay, the experience came, the experience went, and I'm back to living my normal life. This is where I love Lao Tzu, who says, I was chopping wood, carrying water from the well before, and I'm chopping wood, carrying water from the well now. There's just a quality of doing that activity is different. That's all.
Right, because you still have emotions like feeling sad sometimes and angry sometimes, or, you know, normal human reactions, or...
Absolutely, you're a human being. And you know when to use your ego. The difference is then I can use the ego, the mind, to and you know how it is in the human world. Everybody likes to infringe on, there's this infringement on other people's space. Because the ego thinks, well, I'm the center of the universe, you have to do what I want you to do. So there's people all around who are doing that unconsciously. So then I can very easily, whenever I need to, use my mind and say, this is not allowed. You cannot do that. Because if it's to do with my life, you cannot direct how I should be living my life. You see?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. And then you come with your full strength. Because you know you cannot kill me, nobody can kill me. I've already passed through the process of killing myself.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I've killed my own ego, so there's nothing I'm afraid of, that you cannot kill me.
Wow. Yeah, I saw a video with you where you spoke about fear, that is like the biggest obstacle to enlightenment. And fear, we fear fear. How would you say we can work with our fear?
Well, again, my approach to transformation is very practical. I don't like to talk, because if I talk and I say something, it's like, okay, so what? So that's why I created the system. You work with your fear directly, using this very mathematically designed system that will bypass your mind and will work with the fear, will work with what's associated with fear, what is the cause of fear. Because unless we know the cause of fear and we see that that cause is actually an illusion and we transform that, then we cannot really move any further. I was working with a 9-year-old way back now. She's 17 and very strong girl. And she had a lot of fear, which many kids have, about some presence in the room. So, and truly so, there's so many spirits floating around, and kids are very susceptible to that. And spirits know that kids are susceptible. So, I don't want to go into detail with that thought, but so when we worked with her fear, and with my system, and we released the fear, she came to the awareness within, which is, this is what it does, brings you to that awareness, the method. She saw that I cannot die, and nobody can ever die.
Okay, so she realized that.
She realized that from within, because that's what the system will bring you to see. We start with fear, but that's where we go next. After working with those steps of the method. So then when she saw that I cannot die, nobody can ever die, that's a humongous transformation from fear to strength. And for a 9-year-old to have that strength, that's no spirit can then influence. And after that, she wasn't afraid anymore, because she knew I could tell those spirits to leave.
Powerful. Is this something you're going to teach in the workshop as well?
Yes, we're going to work with the Dalian Method, so people will have the experience of it. And of course, me being there, I will help to identify certain things that people might have difficulty to identify inside their body, because I'm able to read those precise beliefs and thoughts through people's breath.
Oh.
And that's part of how I started exploring, because I could hear the unconscious in the body.
Wow.
And then I started exploring too, how can we work with this so that we can bring the person into seeing, in other words, into their own inner consciousness, inner knower. Because with the inner knower, then everything, you cannot, once you see something as false, you cannot believe it anymore. So that's how we erase the beliefs. And the beliefs, there's so many beliefs, and the imprints come from the very moment of your birth and from previous lifetimes too.
Yes, and social conditioning and...
Absolutely, yeah. And fear is the thread that goes through everything.
Right. And you're also going to speak about your soul's calling, and I wanted to ask you, do you believe that we all have a specific soul's calling, like different souls or missions, or that we all have a soul's calling?
As I was saying earlier, the blueprint for each person is to become conscious. So that's inbuilt with everyone. It doesn't matter what we're going to manifest or while we're living in this material world. So what we call calling, normally the way people understand it is my soul's calling to manifest something in the material world. So yes, every soul has something that, I have a desire to do this. For example, I realized that I've come to this planet to help heal the pain that's on the planet. Right. So that's one aspect of the soul's calling that you follow. But but to get there, you have to become conscious. You have to follow your calling of your own truth. So how to distinguish the two, and how to work with the first part so you can come to the second part, because you cannot live your soul's calling fully if there's any fears.
Oh.
Because you're holding back. You see, fear will not allow you to fully express and show what you really want to do or say.
It does make sense. So for those who cannot come to Oslo or for some reason, cannot get in contact with you or don't have the money or for any reason cannot access your material, how can they work with their fear? I'm just thinking about the whole planet. How can we do this work ourselves if we didn't have a teacher like you?
Okay, well, that's why I created the self-help kit with there's 2 recordings there of the method, and there's a book that shows you how to prepare, how to do it step by step for yourself. So, and the reason I created it is because I want people to take responsibility for their own transformation. And if you do that, then there's more power your transformation will hold because you're taking the time to do it. Does that make sense? Because most of the time, people want somebody else to do it for them. They don't want to put in the time. So the time that is put in, so this is the 2 things that I do. I have online courses where people can reach me from all over the world. The 8 weeks and 5 weeks where actually I look into the precise patterns or thoughts that are in the energy, and then people work with those thought forms, beliefs on their own at home using the self-help Dalian method. Or people can just go and purchase the kit and just do it on their own. This is why I developed it, because I'm one person. I'm here now. I'm not going to be here forever in physical form. So once I'm gone, I want to leave something behind so that not only adults, but I have versions for teenagers, for young adults, and for children. And they're different lengths. And I've seen the transformative power without any doubt when I've seen people use this on their own as well. And I've also started training facilitators for people who want to have some experience and they don't know how to start. Then they can work with a facilitator who are all trained to work with people with the method and encourage people to continue working on their own. So it's all about self-empowerment.
Yes, I think we have to do some of the work ourselves. I totally agree about that. Could you speak a little bit more about the Dalian method and what you're going to do in the workshop? I understood about the fear, how you work with that. Are there other things that is part of this method?
There are many things. So I think the best way to describe it is when I was exploring it. So in the beginning, I was hearing the thoughts. I was telling people what I hear. And it was like intellectually, they were resonating. Their tears would come. They would understand what I'm saying. And then I felt like, yeah, okay, they understood it, but then what? Right? So then I started working with people in a different way, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get the person to verbalize out loud what I'm hearing. And the moment the person verbalized out loud what I'm hearing, suddenly that energy that is held in the body, that belief, is released. So you open channels. So the system started, and I started working with the whole body because you cannot just work with one area. Different parts of the body hold different contradictory thoughts. That's why we have love, hate. One moment we love, next moment we hate. One moment we're happy, next moment we're angry. So the double-sided coin exists in our life. It's the 2 polarities that we continually live in. So you can't just be, if you're just saintly sitting and, always smiling, there's something artificial about it. If you don't get angry about something, there's something artificial about it. Life forces us to, anger means I'm not happy about something. Something's not right. Anger is not a bad thing. It means something's not right. So your body, your whole being is telling you, and it comes out as anger. But then you have to explore, what is it that I feel is not right? just throwing anger at somebody is useless. You need to say, okay, I'm feeling this anger, something's not like, so then the method will help you work with the anger. You will express the anger so that you can, again, verbally, and it uses breathing, and we use the whole body. So in other words, from feet all the way to the crown chakra, utilizing the third eye, the back of the head, the pituitary gland, so the back of the head where all the memories are stored, the front of the body, the back of the body, all the chakras. So the method works with everything, all at the same time. And as we work with the method, and it's very scientifically designed in a way, because I have a very scientific mind. Everything in existence is mathematics to me. So mathematically, I've seen how when I do this with a person, that happens. And then when we do that, that happens. And then we do that, that happens. And so when we work with the body this way and that way and go back and forth, and it's not like we start from the feet, but it's not like we're going like, now we're going to go up the chakras. No, because there's something that I need to utilize the third eye while I'm working with the second chakra, for example. So the method, again, I've devised it in such a way that I know then from this I have to go to the third eye, and then I have to come back, and I have to come here, and I have to come there. And that's how the full, sort of like a full body detox happens of the thoughts and emotions. And when the detox happens, it's like you have a sun, which is inside you, your consciousness, which is covered with all the clouds. So once the clouds are removed, that's a part of the detox, suddenly you see the sun. So then it brings you to the place to see from inside what the truth, the exact truth is. And then you see, this happened so I can see this, so I can learn this. And then true forgiveness happens, true letting go happens. It's not artificial anymore. You really feel it in your whole body. Mm-hmm. And unless you feel it in your whole body, your head is not going to do anything. It's just going to stay there. So we need to work with the head and the whole body, because the body is like the bottom of the iceberg that carries all your unconscious.
That's so interesting. I wasn't aware that the body was carrying that much. I felt in a way it was in the energy, in a sense, not in the physical, but I guess it's kind of the same as well. I'm surprised that so much is stuck in our bodies.
Well, how do you experience anger? In your head or in your body?
Well, yes, I feel it in my body, but I also feel it somehow in my consciousness, not just in my body, but also in my mind. Or
how do you feel sadness? Where do you feel it?
It's like this cloud is over me. That's how I feel it.
Yeah, so you see, your focus is on your head, so you're not aware of what's happening in your body.
Yeah.
And therefore, you're going to try and solve this with your head, and you're going to go nowhere. Because when you were born, the first experience you had as you were born, you don't remember, but the first conclusion you made about being born into this planet, that conclusion is imprinted in your whole body. Your mind was not developed then.
Are you talking about me now? Or generally?
And everybody. Right? You included, because you were born with a certain imprint. We all are born with a certain imprint, because the moment that's an experience. The birth is an experience, right? Some babies are born. Mothers have hard process, the birthing process. Some are easy process. Some have cesarean. But every experience is an experience for the mother and the baby. Or when the fetus is in the womb, then it's still whatever mother experiences, the fetus will experience. So, which means all the issues that parents have, father and mother, are also imprinted in the physical cells of the baby. So then these things are running the show. It's the bottom of the iceberg, which you don't see. It's the unconscious. And then you think, I'm going to do this, but then something is not letting you. You want to do this, but something's not letting you. Well, what is it that's not letting you? The beliefs that running in the background underneath the unconscious, which are in your body, in your cells. That's why with the system, it works with the cellular memory, what's in the cellular memory that's running the show.
Makes totally sense. I guess I'm wondering, okay, so if your method didn't exist, could we get the same result somehow else, like in a different way?
Yeah, my experience is in working with other methods. You get little experiences here and there, and they're you understand it, but it takes so much time.
Right.
It takes a very long time. And as you know, we're living in the age now where everything moves fast. And if you notice, the year passes so fast. We're in the process of quickening. In other words, the time concept is starting to disappear. Right? We blink and suddenly the month is gone. So for our times, new methods are required.
Okay.
And that's why existence, I'm just a vehicle. That's why existence said, okay, Mada, here's you have all the ingredients. You can devise this method now because you've done your own work as well. We need that part, because without that part, this method couldn't have existed. And so now, okay, work on it. And I feel it as I just want to enjoy myself, go to gardening and just breathe, live, just normal life. I don't look for anything, but something keeps inside. Okay, now keeps pushing. Now you have to write this book. Now you have to do this. You have to do this, and I know it's coming from existence that's pushing me. I have to do it. So that means I'm not even claiming it. It's like, oh, see, this is all mine, because I have the ingredients that existence can see that this person is the right person to put this out to the world. And that's why I feel once I'm gone, it's going to stay. This is a method for generations to come.
Wow, powerful. Wow, this workshop is going to be amazing. I know you had some pictures. Was that related, that you wanted to share? Was that related to something you wanted to explain?
Well, we did research on the self-help version of the method, because before I released it to the public, I did a lot of experimentation with the self-help version. Because when I'm working one-on-one, I know spontaneously I work and no problem. So I said, no this, no that. But then I had to create a version that anybody can use. So for that, I had to experiment. And I'm kind of a person that unless I've explored it and I'm 100,000% sure that it's going to work, I will not release it. I take my time. So we did a research study on it as well. And the study is in the book with some images. I have the book here, but maybe you can display the images easier. Yeah,
I can do
that. So it's based on Krillian photography.
Right.
And there was maybe I can just quickly show you, and then you can maybe display a better image. So, for example, this is an aura image. I don't know. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the before, and this is the after. After 90 minutes.
After doing what? After doing the self-help?
Yes.
Okay.
One self-help. So with this woman, for example, she had if you could see the aura image, there's a lot of holes, right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So that's the before. And this is the case where the woman's husband had committed suicide 3 weeks before she came to this experiment. And look at the image after.
Right. Yeah. Now I see what to look after. Yeah.
Okay. So this is after just one session, and she was worried. I'm gonna take care of myself now. He's gone, and she was feeling guilty that what did I do wrong? But then through the session, she saw that she could take care of herself, and she didn't do anything wrong because it was his choice to do what he did. Once you see that, there's like suddenly your identification or self-blame just disappears. Then you can get in touch with your strength. I can take care of myself. That's a huge change in the whole energy field, right? So there's other images of the same person with the chakras. For example, here the chakras. If you can see that, the before and after. So the before chakras are all over the place.
Yeah.
And afterwards, they're all aligned.
Right.
Okay. Or this image, which is basically shows the before and after of the whole, sort of like the electromagnetic field, if you will, just of the whole body, what's happening, right? So then all this stress you can see in the first image, and the second one where it relaxes. So this is, and maybe you can display this in a better way. I don't know, but this is a way to demonstrate in a physical way to see. Of course, people are experiencing these things. They know something's shifted.
Yeah, but it's something about seeing it as well for science, and for it to, because it's good to have some visual proofs.
That's one of the reasons I wanted myself to see on a visual way how it's going to change the energy field.
Yeah.
Right? And I welcome any scientist who wants to do further research on this, because they're going to have, and you can do research on any type of illness using this method, because people I worked with initially came with all sorts of illnesses, with asthma, with MS, with Crohn's disease, with chronic pain, and after what's causing that means the beliefs that were stuck there in the body are released, suddenly the energy flows and the illnesses disappear. And of course we have environmental illnesses now based on cell phones and cell towers, etc., which people need to minimize. Of course that's part of people's consciousness to know to do that, but at the same time, it's the beliefs in the body that run the way the energy manifests itself, the way the body manifests itself. And the body gives us signals. That's the beauty of the body, that something's not right here, something's not right here. So we can actually pay attention and see what's there and take this as an opportunity for transformation.
Yeah, I think the body's talking to us all the time. I wanted to ask, what about the child? Do you think sometimes we're not supposed to heal from a disease? I was thinking about the child that I know of that died when he was 6 years old. He got cancer, and a lot of children do die and have diseases. Is it sometimes a purpose that we were supposed to learn something, the people around were supposed to learn something, that he couldn't be healed, he wasn't supposed to be healed in a sense?
Well, to me, the ultimate healing is healing into consciousness. That's why I subtitled my first book, In Search of the Miraculous, Healing into Consciousness. Because yes, illnesses are there. Sometimes I worked with people with leukemia, for example, 23-year-old, and by the time he came to me, it was too late. It had taken over his body. But when I worked with his the same way with his thoughts and fears in the body, he was able to let go during the dying process instead of struggling. Which means he's now ready for the next lifetime, whatever work we did, to come next lifetime with more relaxed about the situations that were causing this leukemia.
I see.
So that's why even a 6-year-old, yes, the body, consciousness of a 6-year-old is not conscious, same as a 25 or 50-year-old, but they also are conscious. Sometimes kids are more conscious than adults. So if this child, for example, in this case, could have seen something, it would have made the difference. Then you don't need a whole lifetime. Maybe that's all he needed, 6 years.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, I wanted just to ask that because I feel that there's so many things we don't know, that there's a reason for everything, and that we shouldn't like fix everything. Like what happens, there's a reason, there's a mysticism there that we can never understand in a sense. So
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good approach.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've just understood that there's so many things I don't understand. Well, it was such a joy speaking to you. Wow. I feel like we could go on for hours because these are the big questions, which I love speaking about. So just tell us, this workshop is also in November, right?
In November, 2nd and 3rd.
Right. So exciting. And,
yes, I'm excited.
And you've never been to Norway before?
No, I'm very excited to come.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Well, thank you so much. This was a true joy for me, a really profound conversation for me. I got so many new insights, and welcome to Norway, and all the best with your beautiful and so important work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in the conversation. I enjoyed it.
Oh, wonderful.
Great.
And thank you so much for watching, guys. Much light from Canada and Norway. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.